You see, desire doesn't begin in the body, it begins in the mind, and not just any part of the mind, but the place where imagination and memory live together. That's why your words matter more than your looks, your touch, even your presence. Because long after you've walked away, your words stay with them. They echo, they replay, they haunt. But here's the truth. His mind doesn't respond to vague emotion. It responds to precision. You must speak to him in a way that paints clear pictures. You must use words that don't just sound nice. They create a vision in his head. When you say something like, I love spending time with you, that's sweet. But when you say, I feel peace in your presence, like everything slows down when I'm near you, now that hits different. That's precision. That's emotional depth. That's a visual. He can see what you feel. And more importantly, he starts feeling it too. Words like, you make me feel seen, safe, or you bring out something strong in me are not just compliments, they are activators. They go straight past the surface and sink into his subconscious. And the subconscious is where desire is born. That's where it grows. That's where it lives, even when he's trying to move on. Now, here's something psychological most people don't know. The male brain is wired to respond to things it can solve, fix, or protect. That means if your words position him as useful, as important, as needed, then you become someone he wants to show up for. But if your words are passive, unclear, or scattered, he doesn't feel anything to attach to. That's why some women can be beautiful, successful, even loyal, and he still forgets them. But a woman who speaks with clarity, who knows how to shape her sentences with emotion and purpose, becomes unforgettable. Imagine telling a man, I feel grounded when you talk to me, like your energy balances mine. Now he's not just hearing you, he's experiencing you. That sentence becomes a memory. It creates a scene. He'll think about it when he's alone. He'll wonder why you felt that way. And most importantly, he'll start associating you with something rare, something calm, something powerful. That's the kind of woman he craves without knowing why. And when you use those kinds of words regularly, not to manipulate, not to force, but to genuinely express how his presence moves you, it does something to him. It activates a part of him that wants to be seen by you. And once a man feels emotionally connected, you're no longer just another person in his life. You become a symbol, a moment, a feeling. And feelings, they last longer than facts. So when you speak, speak with purpose, speak with texture, speak with imagery. Don't be afraid to go deep, because the deeper your words go, the longer you'll live in his thoughts. There's something deeply powerful about mystery. The mind doesn't crave answers, it craves the pursuit of answers. When a man feels like he can completely figure you out in the first few conversations, the curiosity starts to fade. But when your words make him pause, when they spark a question, instead of giving him the whole picture, that's when desire begins to build. Most people think attraction is about being available, being expressive, being an open book. But in truth, attraction often lives in the unspoken, in the spaces between your sentences, in the moments you don't explain everything. It's when he walks away from a conversation with you thinking, what did she really mean by that? Or why did that moment feel so intense? Let me give you a real example. Imagine saying something simple like, you remind me of something I thought I'd lost, and then you just smile and let it sit. You don't rush to explain. You don't fill the silence. You just leave the emotion hanging in the air. Now, what happens in his brain? His mind starts racing. He starts wondering, what did she lose? Is it a feeling, a memory, a person? Suddenly, you've created a story inside him without telling a story. It's power. It's called emotional suggestiveness. You give enough to stir something in him, but not so much that he feels he has it all. This is not about playing games. It's about creating space for imagination. Because when the imagination gets involved, emotions follow. And where there's emotion, there's attachment. And where there's attachment, there's desire. Psychology tells us that humans, especially men, are drawn to patterns they can't fully predict. So when your words are always perfectly obvious, he may like you. But when your words leave just enough space for mystery, he starts to crave you. It's the difference between knowing a song by heart and hearing a new melody you can't stop replaying in your mind. One fades, the other lingers. Don't feel pressured to always explain yourself. Sometimes restraint is more attractive than revelation. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is half a sentence, followed by silence, or a change in tone, or a subtle look that says more than words ever could. Because when he has to work to understand you, he becomes emotionally invested. And emotional investment is the foundation of real, lasting desire. So, instead of always trying to be understood, try being felt. Be remembered. Leave spaces in your speech that only his imagination can fill. That's how you become the kind of woman he thinks about in the quiet hours. That's how your words stop being words and become wonder. There is a psychology behind the power of exclusivity. When a man begins to feel like he is the only one you let into certain parts of your mind, your heart, or your world, that creates an emotional grip he can't shake. This isn't about flattery or manipulation. It's about emotional intimacy that is carefully and intentionally earned, not handed out to just anyone. You see, most people go around offering their energy, their secrets, their dreams, their vulnerabilities to everyone they meet. But when you speak to a man in a way that makes him feel chosen, not just one of many, but the only, one who gets access to your inner world, that activates something ancient inside him. It stirs a protective, passionate instinct because it tells him, you matter more than the others. You see parts of me that no one else gets to see. Let's take a simple example. Imagine you're in a room full of people, laughing, smiling, being your radiant self. But when he speaks, you turn and your entire energy softens. Your tone changes. Your eyes deepen, your words slow down. In that subtle moment, he feels it. He feels that he has access to a different version of you, a more sacred version. That's what begins to plant the seed of emotional possession, not controlling you, but desiring to be the one who holds that space with you. And then, when you speak certain words to him that are quiet, direct, and emotionally intimate, like, I don't say this to many people, but with you, I feel something different, or you make me feel calm in a way I didn't expect. Those kinds of phrases open a private doorway between the two of you. You've just made him feel seen and significant, and you've told his subconscious you're not like the rest. It's not about feeding his ego. It's about awakening his sense of honor and responsibility. A man begins to value what he feels he had to earn. If he believes you offer that same emotional intimacy to anyone, it loses its impact. But if he starts to believe that your softness, your depth, your nurturing energy is something he had to slowly uncover, he will cherish it. He will protect it. He will want more of it. Words that activate this desire aren't loud or boastful. They're gentle and deliberate. They sound like, there's something about the way you speak to me that makes me want to listen more. Or, I feel safer when I talk to you. Those words are not compliments. They are invitations. Invitations into a world he didn't know he craved until you gave him a glimpse of it. When you speak like that, you build emotional exclusivity. And once a man feels emotionally chosen, once he feels like he's accessing a part of you that no one else is allowed to see, desire starts to evolve into something deeper, something that stays, something that haunts him in the most beautiful way. Because at the end of the day, we all want to feel special. We all want to feel like someone has reserved a sacred place just for us. And when you speak to him with that intention, with that warmth, With that inner knowing, you activate a part of his mind and heart that begins to belong to you. There is something deeply magnetic about a woman who knows how to create space, emotional space, psychological space, and even spiritual space. When you step back, not in silence or punishment, but in grace and self-respect, you awaken a desire in a man that is rooted in longing, curiosity, and value. You give him the gift of mystery, the kind that doesn't push or chase, but gently pulls with quiet confidence. We live in a world where constant access is expected. Messages, calls, check-ins. There's no room to miss someone anymore. But if you want to activate something powerful in a man's mind, something that stirs his desire and makes him crave your presence, you must learn the art of becoming unavailable for a while. This doesn't mean playing games. This means you're investing in yourself so deeply that your absence becomes louder than any words you could say. When a man doesn't hear from you for a day or two, not because you're angry, but because you're focused, he starts to wonder. He begins to feel that pull, that sense of, where is she? What is she doing? Who has her attention now? That space creates reflection. That silence invites him to examine what he's feeling, what he's missing, and what he might be losing. And here's the truth. If he never has to wonder about you, he'll never fully value you. When you're always available, always explaining, always present at the drop of a text, he never gets a chance to feel your absence. And if he doesn't feel your absence, he can't fully crave your presence. But when you create that space, emotionally and energetically, you begin to shift his perception. You're no longer the woman he assumes will always be there. You become the woman he realizes he could lose. That is when desire matures. That is when his thoughts shift from she's nice to talk to I can't stop thinking about her. You also teach him through your absence. You teach him that you have a life rich, full, meaningful, that you are not sitting around waiting to be chosen, that you've already chosen yourself. And when a man sees that, when he sees that your world is in motion with or without him, he doesn't feel pushed away, he feels drawn in. Because men are wired to pursue what feels valuable, what feels rare, and what feels like it could slip away. That's why your energy, especially in how you handle space and silence, is one of your greatest tools. It's not just about what you say, it's about the strength of your non-reaction. It's about how you hold yourself when you're not being validated. It's about how peacefully you keep building without asking for attention. That sends a message far louder than any words. It says, I am enough without you, but if you want to walk with me, you'll need to catch up to where I'm going. And that, right there, shifts the power dynamic. You're no longer chasing his affection, you're inviting him to earn a seat at your table. Not through pressure, but through presence. Not by yelling louder, but by becoming quieter. Not by doing more, but by doing less with more intention. This kind of space activates the type of desire that lingers. It lives in his mind, it echoes in his memory, and one day, when he's scrolling through his phone and doesn't see your name, when he goes to bed and doesn't hear your voice, when he has a win and doesn't have you to share it with, that's when the realization sets in. He'll realize you weren't just a good conversation. You were peace, you were power, you were presence. And now, he misses all of it. Words are powerful, but the tone in which you speak them, the energy behind your voice, has the power to stir something deeper in a man's subconscious mind. You could say the exact same words to two different people, but it's how you say them, how you embody them, that makes them land with meaning. A man doesn't just hear what you say, he feels your tone. And that tone can either invite desire or shut it down entirely. When you speak with calm certainty, with a warm strength, you radiate something most people can't explain. It's not just confidence, it's emotional stability. And for a man, especially one who is used to chaos, that kind of energy becomes addicting. When your tone is rooted in self-respect, not desperation, not fear, not control, but grace, it creates a space for him to lean in and says, I am not here to convince you. I am here to express myself, and it's up to you if you're ready to meet me there. The moment your voice carries the tone of I'm already full, something changes in him. He may not even realize why he's suddenly thinking about you more. He might not be able to explain why your voice lingers in his mind after you're gone. But what's happening is simple. Your tone made him feel something that words alone never could. When you speak with that kind of power, not loudness, not aggression, but emotional clarity, you tap into something primal in his psychology. You become memorable. You become magnetic. He starts to connect your voice with safety, with peace, with intimacy. And here's the secret. Men crave safety just as much as they crave passion. When your voice feels like home, when it feels like comfort wrapped in wisdom, you unlock a part of him that doesn't open easily. But the reverse is also true. If your tone constantly feels reactive, needy, or passive-aggressive, it pushes him away without you realizing it. You might be saying all the right things, but if your voice carries the energy of fear, he won't feel drawn. He'll feel pressured. That's why it's not just about the words, it's about the energy behind them. So if you want to activate desire in his mind, focus less on scripting your message and more on aligning your voice with your value. Speak from your heart, but not from your wounds. Speak with love, but not with a need to be rescued. When you speak from fullness, not from emptiness, you invite him to step into something higher. You invite him to rise, not because you asked him to, but because your presence and your tone call something greater out of him. And the best part, you don't have to force it. When you work on becoming emotionally grounded, your voice naturally shifts. It becomes slower, softer, steadier. And that kind of tone doesn't just attract attention, it earns respect. And when a man respects your voice, he begins to value your presence in a whole new way. There's something quietly powerful about a woman who knows how to create mystery with her words. Not in a manipulative way, but in a way that leaves just enough unsaid. When you share every emotion, every detail, every thought too quickly, you remove the space where curiosity is born. And desire dies in predictability. But when you speak in a way that leaves a little room for wonder, a man begins to lean in closer, not because he has to, but because something about you pulls him in. You see, the male mind is wired to explore, to pursue, to figure things out. But if he feels like he already knows everything about you too soon, there's nothing left for his mind to chase. That's why mystery is so magnetic. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about not needing to explain everything. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you're okay letting him sit with silence sometime. You're okay letting him miss you. You don't always feel the space because you trust that who you are is already speaking volumes. A woman who is mysterious doesn't hide who she is. She simply doesn't give it all away in one breath. She lets her energy speak. She lets her life speak. She allows the man to discover her layers over time. And that slowness, that unfolding, builds something far more powerful than instant gratification. It builds longing. It builds imagination. And when his mind starts imagining you, you've already entered a deeper place in his psychology than words could ever go. Let him wonder what you're thinking. Let him sit with your silence sometimes. Let him be the one to ask the next question instead of rushing to fill in the answers. When you speak, say what matters, but don't say everything. Hold something back, not out of fear, but out of self-honor. Because when you know your own depth, you don't feel the need to pour it all out at once. You let the right people earn it. And the man who is truly meant for you won't just be intrigued, he'll be inspired to go deeper. There's something incredibly captivating about confidence. but not the kind that's loud, boastful, or performative. I'm talking about quiet confidence, that calm, grounded presence that says, I know who I am, and I don't need you to validate it. When a woman speaks with that kind of assurance, without arrogance, she activates something powerful in a man's mind because it communicates that she is not seeking approval, she's simply expressing truth. Men are naturally drawn to certainty, not control, not dominance, certainty. When you express what you want, what you like, and what you believe without hesitation or apology, you shift the dynamic completely. You stop trying to impress him, and instead, you impress upon him that your presence is a gift, not a request. And that changes everything. Confidence in your voice doesn't mean being louder than everyone else in the room. It means being clear. It means not second guessing yourself after you've said something. It means you don't have to over-explain your feelings or justify your desires. You say it once with clarity and you let it stand. That kind of energy is magnetic. When you speak with conviction, it sends a message straight into his psychology. This woman knows who she is, and she won't shrink herself for anyone. And whether he realizes it or not, his respect for you starts to grow. His mind begins to categorize you differently. You're no longer someone he can casually dismiss or easily overlook. You become unforgettable, not because of what you said, but how you said it. Because confidence isn't just about your tone, it's about alignment. When your words match your energy, when your values show up in the way you carry yourself, when you speak from your heart and stand by it, that's what makes you desirable. That's what draws a man into your world, not out of fantasy, but because he sees strength, authenticity, and peace in you. So speak like you know your worth, and let that voice echo in the places he thought he could control. When it comes to activating desire in his mind, one of the most powerful things you can do is make him feel truly needed. Not in a desperate or clingy way, but in a way that speaks to his sense of purpose and value. Men have a deep psychological need to feel that they matter, that they contribute something meaningful to the life of a woman they care about. When you express that you need him, it touches a core part of his identity that is often overlooked. But here's the secret. It's not about saying, I need you out of insecurity. It's about showing that you value what he brings into your life, emotionally, mentally, even in small practical ways, and that his presence completes something important to you. This isn't about dependency, it's about connection. It tells him that he's more than just company or entertainment. He plays a vital role in your world. When you communicate this need with sincerity, it activates a strong psychological response. He feels respected, useful, and essential. It triggers a protective instinct, a desire to step up, to be the man who fulfills that need. This is far different from pressure or demand. It's a gentle invitation for him to show up and be present. Think about how this contrasts with the typical narrative many women fall into, trying to appear too independent or unreachable to avoid vulnerability. While independence is important, complete emotional detachment can leave him feeling unnecessary, which kills desire. Instead, balancing your strength with honest expression of need creates a magnetic pull. It tells him, I am strong, but you are significant. The words you choose matter deeply here. Simple statements like, I appreciate when you're there for me, or your support means everything, work far better than dramatic declarations. It's subtle, authentic, and sincere, which makes him want to be that person more and more. When you do this, you're not just activating desire, you're building a foundation for deeper connection and trust. It plants seeds of loyalty in his mind and heart. Desire is then fueled by meaning, not just attraction. You want to be the woman who inspires a man to want to be his best self because he knows he is genuinely needed. That's a power that no one can take away from you. Another incredibly powerful way to activate desire in his mind is to master the art of genuine curiosity about who he is beneath the surface. Most people crave to be truly understood, and men are no exception. When you show authentic interest, not just in the stories he tells, but in the emotions behind those stories, the dreams he's quietly nursing, and the struggles he's facing, you tap into a deep psychological connection that most people never get to experience. It's easy to fall into the trap of surface level conversations, talking about daily routines, work, or general small talk. But when you go beyond that, when you ask questions that encourage him to open up about his passions, his fears, and his hopes, you become someone rare and valuable in his world. That kind of connection sparks desire because it makes him feel seen and heard on a level that few people achieve. There's something magnetic about a woman who listens, not just waiting for her turn to talk, but genuinely absorbing what he shares, validating his feelings without judgment, and responding thoughtfully. That deep listening tells him that he matters. It awakens an emotional intimacy that naturally builds attraction because desire thrives on connection, not just physical or superficial exchanges. When you cultivate this curiosity, it creates a safe space for him to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it's the gateway to true closeness. And desire is always strongest where there is emotional safety and authenticity. The more he feels comfortable revealing his true self to you, the more he'll be drawn to you. This isn't about interrogation or putting him on the spot. It's about creating a rhythm of genuine exchange where both of you feel encouraged to share, to understand, and to grow together. That exchange ignites desire by showing him that you care deeply about who he is, not just what he can give or do. Remember, desire is not just about physical attraction. It's about feeling connected on multiple levels: emotional, intellectual, spiritual. When you show curiosity and listen with your whole heart, you become the woman who awakens that multifaceted desire within him. The truth is, men want to be valued for more than just their actions or achievements. They want to be appreciated for their inner world, their thoughts, their emotions. When you tap into that, you hold the key to a desire that lasts far beyond surface attraction. This kind of connection is transformative. It builds a foundation not only for desire, but for a relationship rooted in understanding and respect. And that is the kind of desire that stands the test of time. There is a profound power in the words you choose to express your own value and self-respect when activating desire in his mind. It's not just about what you say to him, but how you carry yourself and how your words reflect your own worth. Men are deeply attracted to a woman who knows her value, who sets boundaries, and who communicates clearly and confidently without desperation or neediness. When you speak from a place of self-respect, you send a powerful message. You respect yourself enough not to settle for less than you deserve. This shifts the dynamic entirely. Desire is not sparked by chasing or pleading. It's ignited by the quiet strength that comes from knowing your worth and demanding that others honor it too. That confidence is magnetic because it reflects an inner power and peace. This doesn't mean being harsh or cold. It means being clear, honest, and direct about what you want and what you won't accept. When you express your boundaries calmly but firmly, you create a space where respect and desire can grow. Men are wired to respond to strength. When they see a woman who values herself, it awakens a primal respect and a deep desire to rise to that standard. Moreover, the words you choose to affirm your own identity and purpose make a lasting impression. Statements like, "I'm focused on my goals," "I know what I deserve," or "I won't settle for less than I'm worth," communicate to him that your life is full and meaningful on its own. Desire grows when a man sees that your world is rich and that he is invited into it as a partner, not as a savior or a filler of emptiness. There's also something profoundly attractive about emotional independence. When you show that you can stand strong without relying on him for validation or happiness, it creates a pull. It signals that your connection with him would be a choice, not a need. That choice fuels desire more than any amount of chasing ever could. Remember, your words shape the reality you live in. Speaking with self-respect is like planting seeds of attraction that grow into something powerful and lasting. When he sees a woman who values herself and expresses it through her words, he is drawn irresistibly because he knows this is someone worthy of his time, energy, and heart. This confidence in your words becomes a beacon, one that calls out to him, activating a desire rooted not only in attraction, but in respect, admiration, and genuine connection. It's a desire that lasts, built on the foundation of self-worth. When you master this, you don't just activate desire in his mind, you awaken something much deeper.